Hi, everybody. Some of you had asked about a review for Quiz 6, a video, like we had done with the previous quiz and like I've been doing in class. Obviously, the in-class option doesn't work for any of you that were planning on taking the quiz prior to Tuesday. So, in the spirit of the path of least resistance that has guided us, or at least me, thus far through this semester, I figured why not. So, that being said, you're going to read a speech that the American President Harry Truman makes to the U.S. Congress. Just know what is the purpose of that address. He lays out here the Truman Doctrine, which we talked about, but you want to know more specifically, what's the purpose here for Truman coming before Congress. Technically, he's not just up there just to spout the Truman Doctrine to them, although it was an occasion for him to reveal it to the American people. And obviously for this and for the exam, you should be able to tell me what is the Truman Doctrine. Side note on that, if you guys have been, and I suspect maybe there are a few people that have, watched these reviews and or attend these reviews and figure, well, I'll just read enough of the documents till I get, whatever he was saying we needed to look for, and I'll fast forward the lecture to whatever he was saying we need to look for, and that's how I'll prepare. And you've done well on the quizzes, okay, but just know that it's not going to serve you very well for the final exam. You've got the study guide for the final exam. I'm not going to do a review where I run through the whole final, so that might be working for now, but you're going to put a lot of stress on yourself or set yourself up to fail for the final, if that's you. I know a lot of you haven't been doing that, so just want to put that out there. There's an opposing viewpoints section. This is one of those general gist questions. You want to read those and be able to identify, what's being covered in those opposing viewpoints. What are we getting opposing viewpoints on? It's pretty simple. Opposing viewpoints of what? So that, if you read that one, that should be pretty easy. You have an account of a landowning farmer in China, and the land reform in action, this Tay Yu. You want to know what happens to this person, and be able to explain that. And then there's another individual under Make Revolution, Nian Cheng. You need to be able to explain again in your own words what happens to her and who is responsible. And then 2, on Nian Cheng, sort of some context, like why is this happening? What's something that we talked about in lecture that would be the reason why this is happening to this person, Nian Cheng, so you can kind of connect the document with what we talked about in lecture. Speaking of lecture questions, Cold War lecture, talked about conceptions of the world during the Cold War and concepts of first, second, third world, and what do those mean? What are proxy wars and where were they fought? What does the Cold War look like in Europe with the Marshall Plan for the West and then the Soviet Plan for the East and the Iron Curtain down the middle? And India, South Africa lecture, we talked about the basic concept of Gandhi's movement in India, Satyagraha, and examples of Satyagraha, like the Salt March, and in general, the Swadeshi program. Need to be cognizant or able to explain those things. And then with South Africa, obviously the big thing is the Nationalist Party and apartheid. You should have a firm understanding of the different aspects of apartheid. China lecture, we talked about obviously the Chinese Civil War, and you should understand what's happening there. 2, you want to be familiar with the various 5-year plans and domestic programs associated with the Maoist regime, with Mao, and be able to, again, in your own words, explain, these were Mao's programs, and this is where they fell short, if you will. What were the results of those, and kind of break that down for each program. And then, of course, there's the big shift in China under Zhou Enlai, and we talked about Deng Xiaoping. So you should be able to tell me or identify this is what happens when Mao dies and Deng Xiaoping comes to power. Here's what changes, here's what doesn't. Here's how China under the Communist Party looks different under Deng Xiaoping and then Hu Jintao and Xi Jinping, as opposed to the way it looked under Mao, obviously. And needless to say, some things have changed, some things maybe not so much. So that's a general guidebook, I think, that will serve you well on Quiz 6. Like I said, not going to do this way for the final. You've already got the study guide, so you got that list of terms. I just want to give you everything you can to be successful on the quizzes. Not that I don't want you to be successful in the exams. Obviously, I do. But when we get to exam time, it's got to be a little bit, more of an initiative on y'all's. And of course, you can come to me with questions, either in class in the days we have left, or via email or text or whatever. So there you go. That's that. Have a great holiday. No rush if you want to put off the quiz until next week, and it's totally up to you. So everybody stay safe, stay healthy, and we'll see you after the break.